Some people claim that the atrocities we commit in our fiction are those inner desires which we cannot commit in our controlled civilization. So they are expressed instead through our art. I don't agree. I believe heaven and hell are one and the same. The soul belongs to heaven and the body to hell.
Welcome back to the Blasphemous Cinema Podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me today is, of course, my trustworthy co-host, Addison. How are you doing today, Addison?
Good. How are you?
We're doing great. We are back to discuss Park Chan-wook's Oldboy, 2003. I didn't find this out until today, but it's based on a manga of the same name. Had no idea about that. This is kind of like, this movie has a lot of notoriety behind it. Like, I mean, this is, to some people, one of the greatest films ever made. It's up there, you know?
Yeah, it's like a 4.4 average rating.
Yeah.
Which is crazy high.
It is. And over the years, I've seen like lots of mentions, lots of praise for certain scenes. Like the hallway action scene is talked about a lot. So is that final shot of the film. And
Spike Lee remade it.
Yeah, Spike Lee remade it.
Love it.
That did not go well. Who would have thought, in my opinion, but I love Spike, but I don't know. No. So we're here to talk about this today. This is my first time watching it. This is your second time around.
Yes, sir.
When did you first watch it?
Maybe like 2016?
Mm-hmm.
Probably around the same time I saw a Serbian film.
Nice.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And they kind of have similar vibes, which is
like thing. I was gonna say the same thing. Like there's some similarities there, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about Oldboy, and I will say, so leaving this film, I felt very high on it. I really dug what this film was, which, when the film first started off, I got the feeling that it was like very 2000s almost. Like when he has like the scene of him like with the ants like climbing all over his body and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is like straight up like kind of like a 2000s American action film. Like it's giving me that same vibe and same feeling. So I was like kind of like interested. I'm like, okay, like how am I gonna fare on my opinions about this if it's like this the whole time? And in my opinion, it, like once like there's a certain point where honestly it kind of qualms.
A lot of the CG is rough.
Yeah,
it's very rough to look at.
But that like kind of calms down.
Also.
Yeah, once the film settles in my opinion, it kind of gets away from that feeling, and I just think it's at that point it feels like a great film to me.
Which I don't know how you feel about CG personally, but for me, even if it's an older film, if it's used as just like a visual technique and it's something that's the only way they could have done it, I don't really have a problem with it.
No,
like even if it looks bad, I'm kind of like, it kind of adds a little bit of character that's kind of shitty.
I think like a good example would be like the Star Wars films, like the old ones, like.
Not the special editions. I will never defend George Lucas.
No. I'm talking about like the originals, like where, like the AT-ATs and shit were, you know.
Wasn't some of that stop motion though?
Yes, but some of it was CG.
Really? I don't remember that. But yeah, it's like sometimes I feel like
because wasn't like the like maybe it okay.
I don't think CG was used until the 90s.
Okay.
Like computers.
I'm thinking about superimposed stuff. Never mind.
Yeah, which superimposed stuff is a whole different thing. I like the way some of that looks sometimes.
That's what I was thinking about, but I don't know, like I start to think when in terms of CG, that kind of hasn't. I wouldn't say necessarily hasn't aged well, but like I think about Blade a lot, and
That's
like
fair.
in I don't know, how do you feel about like the original Blade CG like
I like the
nowadays?
Blade movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, yeah,
like Blade 2, that's probably my only complaint with that movie is the CG fight.
yeah,
It's like you did a whole fight in CG. And it's kind of like the same thing that people complain about with Matrix Reloaded.
yeah,
How that fight is very practical at first, and it has a lot of great action in it, and then it kind of turns into a CGI fest.
yeah. It turns into a video game cutscene
Yeah.
essentially.
They were just playing around with it in that time, I
Yeah,
guess.
but like those don't really detract my like too much of my enjoyment of those movies. I still think of them pretty well.
Yeah.
So with here, I yeah, the CG's a little dated, um, but I wouldn't necessarily it detracted for me. Um, I just more or less got that feeling of like it was very much at the beginning a 2000s film to start off with.
You definitely get that aesthetic,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but let's talk about so you watched it in 2016. You what was your feelings walking away with that?
When I first watched it,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, yeah, it was like I heard a lot about it because I was just getting into film around 2015, 2016. So basically, I was only watching movies that people would just be like,
Yeah.
you got to watch this because you want to get into film and stuff. So here's a movie you need to watch. So I would just watch any recommendation anybody would give me. And a lot of times it would be really bad ones. Or people would just tell me, like, oh, you should watch some crazy shit. Because, people, people when you're in college, they're either telling you, like, really film bro movies or they telling you really edgy creepy movies
Yeah,
to watch that
for
it's kind
sure.
of like they want to disturb you. It's like I don't really care for that either. In that time I didn't. But yeah, so I watched Oldboy for the first time and I was kind of just like it's all right. I mean, great action scene. I love the tunnel sequence still. I love
Yeah.
watching. I mean, it reminds me of John Wick a lot. A lot of this movie actually kind of reminds me of John Wick. But yeah, I mean, I kind of walk away with it the same way that I did on this rewatch where it kind of reaches a formulaic approach,
Mhm.
which I know I've talked to you about this,
Yeah.
the same feeling I had with Memories for Murder, and you were very upset with me because I'm just one of those people where once I see a formula of a movie, especially if it's in like the first third or like something like that, and if I see the formula that early on and it sticks to that, it makes for a very boring watch for me.
Yeah.
But there's still stuff that I appreciate in it. So
Um, would you say anything changed this time around for you? Like literally any aspect of Old Boy that changed this time for
I
you?
appreciated the editing and the directing a lot more this time around. Like when it cuts, especially when it uses with editing, when it uses with sound, like a lot of the sounds will be playing overhead and it's like non-diegetic within the scene and then it
Yeah.
becomes diegetic within the scene, like it becomes a ringtone or something, or it just stops dead on because something happens within the scene and it cuts on that. It's a lot of weird modern editing that I thought was really cool that I never really thought about when I first saw it.
Yeah,
But that's really the only thing I really appreciated more this time around.
for sure. Um, so let's kind of get into the nitty gritty of the story here. Um,
What did you give it though? Like, what did you think about it on your first go around?
I mean I really fucking liked it, and I'm kind of sitting at like a 4.5 on it.
So it's Jake Core all the way.
I wouldn't say like all the way, but like
4.5.
4.5. It it does like it's funny because like you kind of talk about it more in a like a um I wouldn't say, just for lack of a better term, negative light, but like it does give me a lot of the same feel that like kind of like a Memories of a Murder does,
Mm-hmm.
and um I don't know. I mean, it's just like that could just be because they're Korean films, and I like the
Well,
Korean films that I've seen. But
Well, here's the other comparison I can give that might make it make more sense. I saw The Devil.
yeah, yeah,
Like I saw that movie, and I was very middle of the road with that because it is extremely long and it's kind of one note, and that kind of thing kills me. Where it's like this whole idea of this long form revenge plan.
yeah,
And that's almost kind of the same path that this one follows, except for the protagonist of I Saw the Devil is the one doing the long form planning, and then this one is the antagonist,
Yes.
quote unquote. So it's
Yeah.
kind of one of those weird reversal things, but it's like one of those things where once you kind of see the way it plays out and you can kind of guess where it's going. It's just one of those things for me. My brain kind of shuts down for
Yeah,
some
I
reason.
mean, I remember like the first time I watched I Saw the Devil, I fucking loved it. But the second time I watched it, I still really liked it, but like I could definitely feel its length on the second time more around. I think the
Yeah.
first one I was just like so invested into the new thing that I'm seeing, but like the second time I was like, yeah, I can definitely feel the length here, and it's not nearly as masterful as I thought the first time around.
Well,
Um,
yeah, which is understandable.
yeah. Um, so I don't know, like, I didn't know really necessarily what to get from the story going into this. Like I said, I've kind of known some things. I've heard someone at work tell me, like, this was a very traumatizing experience for them.
Traumatizing.
Yeah. And, but they loved it still. Like, it was, like, kind of like one of those things
It
where,
scarred him.
yeah, but, like, in the same way where, like, they just keep on revisiting because it's, like, they loved it so much, but also it's like it's a weird comfort film type thing.
That's always fun though when you have a movie like that. Like
It,
I think it's really cool when
yes,
people have like I guess a weird relationship with a movie where it's like you don't really hate it, but it didn't really give you good feelings, but you still
yeah.
want to come back to it.
I mean, I've totally different thing, but I feel the same way about Marriage Story, where Marriage Story is a very devastating film, but it's
Yeah,
kind of like it's kind of like a comfort film to me. Like I can return to that movie and I I don't know, I just love returning to it, and it's kind of yeah, very much kind of a comfort thing. Um,
it's not exactly a happy movie.
no, not at
I like
all.
that with Chinatown. Like I can watch Chinatown all the time, but that's how it was for me when I first watched it. It's like the ending hits you, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like that's messed up. But I keep wanting to come
Yeah, I
back to it.
just yeah,
I see those titles start and that score, the Chinatown score starts. I'm just like, yeah, this is just
yeah,
great.
totally. So I mean, I definitely have those films too. So it's like I think, and obviously you do as well. Um, but so essentially, we get introduced to our main character.
Which I
Uh,
love the intro of this movie, him in the drunk tank.
oh
It's great.
yes, um, Odesu, that's his name, and basically yeah, he's brought in and he's like super drunk, and like you kind of just see how like the little bit of the evening goes by as like people coming in and out and everything. um so it turns out it's his daughter's birthday, and his friend comes to pick him up, and as they're at the phone booth he disappears, and I was like, wow, okay, I
It throws you
but
right in.
full grown man being kidnapped, in, let's go. Like it's not something you see a lot. But I noticed like the during like the opening credits of basically all of the cast and crew, you see like the timer,
Yeah,
and I was like, okay,
it's kind of
okay,
counting down the whole time till
okay,
the title card.
yeah, I was like, okay, that's awesome, fuck yeah. um but so he's stuck, taken hostage, and he's stuck in this room, for what ends up being 15 years. And um, one thing I loved about this aspect was the him making the markings on his body for every year.
Hmm.
I loved that. I thought that was so cool.
I love
Um,
how he didn't get to finish it either.
yeah,
Like he has the 5 and then 10 and then he gets to 4 on the last one.
yeah. Um, Instantly, one of my favorite things to start off with this movie, once it settles in a bit, is when he's breaking out, when he's planning his breakout, and you get the montage of like the years going, and
Yeah,
like the main theme of the movie kicks in. I was like, dude, holy shit, this score kicks ass. Like this score is
yeah.
so fucking good. um
Which the best part of that whole intro also I think is and it also identifies the main theme is the if you laugh, the world laughs with you, but if you weep alone. And it's that painting that's on the wall,
yeah,
which I think that's just such a cool artwork piece that's in there that
Oh
he just has
yeah.
to stare at. And that's like the first transition that years have gone by is that he looks normal and then it cuts to him looking at that painting and he's just smiling at it and he's got all the long hair now. Love it.
Yeah. Um, I loved. So once he does get out, um, well, like he didn't even get a chance to break out. He got let out.
He
Um,
got close.
yeah, and dude, the up close, like quick cut to his eyes being dilated in the sun with the whatever sound effects were going on during
I
that
don't even
moment.
know how to describe it. It's like a
It's
uh,
very like shocking and visceral in the moment when it happens.
yeah.
And I was like, dude, holy shit, that was so fucking cool. Um,
Because it is crazy that he like goes into the fact that if you haven't seen sunlight in 15 years, you get like vitamin A and E deficiencies, and your eyes can't really adjust to it all that well,
yeah,
and that's why it's like the sunglasses and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And so he goes to, well, all right, this is also interesting too because I don't remember ever this being pointed out to me um ever when hearing about this movie. But there's the famous squids, like the octopus scene.
Hmm.
Um did you, like, before you had seen it, did was that mentioned to you at all? Like, or did you know anything about that?
No, I had no idea about it
Okay.
when I first saw it.
Um
What do you mean it's like famous? You mean the fact that he ate it live for real?
but like I just looking at like what how people feel about this movie, a lot of people bring that up as like the one of the famous scenes from the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like that, I don't know, do you necessarily do you, what do you take away from that scene?
I guess like when I first saw it, and I guess kind of when I watched it this time around, I don't know why, but I love James Bond, so I always think about Daniel Craig's
Yeah.
James Bond movies. But I kind of looked at it as like a symbol of something having like its grip on him, kind of like the Spectre like opening with the octopus everywhere, and that's their symbol.
Yeah.
And I just saw it like that is what they were hinting at when he was eating it, and it kind of they're doing that handheld shot, while he's eating it, and it goes down from when he's actually eating it to his hand, and you see the octopus grip
Dude,
around
I
his hand.
loved that so much.
And it kind of felt like a metaphor for like revenge and kind of the way where it's like he wants vengeance against something, but it's kind of taking him with it. You know what I mean? That's the way I've always looked at it. Is
Yeah.
that it was basically just a metaphor for the whole movie.
Yeah. Um, yeah, as soon as I saw like the octopus grip him as he's eating it, I was like, "Holy shit, that is incredible."
It's
Um,
great, like visual language, I
yeah.
guess.
But this is where Odesu meets um, our second pivotal character, um, Midu, um, and she's working at this restaurant, and she kind of just like instantly kind of just like grows an appreciation to helping him. He passes out, then yeah, she takes him home, and he kind of explains a little bit what's going on, and like in a like almost like kind of in like an animalistic way, he almost like kind of rapes her.
When he
Um,
gets back to your apartment, yeah,
yeah,
because he
um,
hasn't seen a female in 15 years.
yeah,
He doesn't know if she likes him or not, and was like, he didn't know how to handle the situation at all. Because right after it happens, he was like, I should die for that.
yeah, and I mean, I really, yeah, the fact that he was actually able to like come back from that and like realize that like I should die for that. I appreciate that aspect and not just like them glossing over it.
It's like
Um,
he's been reduced down to his most basic instincts.
yeah. Um, and so this is kind of where she's like, I'll basically help you kind of find, you know, I'll help you in your case for revenge or whatever. Just like kind of find out the mystery of who kidnapped you, held you hostage. Um,
And she tells him that she likes him.
yep. Yeah.
And she said, you just like, she basically said also, I'm down to do it
Oh
with
no,
you.
yeah, she said like
You
yeah,
can't surprise me like that. But she was like, later on though, we'll be good. And he was just like, what?
yeah, she was basically like that was also a very interesting thing because I well, I mean, it does go into like future things, but like I part of that decision is like also based in like how she's manipulated, in my
Yep.
opinion. So, um,
Which that's one of my issues with the movie, which I guess we'll get into it later on, but the whole subplot of that whole thing. I don't really like that kind of cop out. But it's one of those things where I feel like they had to find a way to make it work.
mhm,
So it is what it is.
yeah. Um, but you get to a point in this movie. Well, basically, we also find out that his wife is no longer alive, and his daughter was orphaned.
Yeah.
And he has no
They
idea
framed him.
what's up.
They framed him for her death.
Yeah,
Because that was when he got out. They said like the statute of limitations was up on the murder of his wife.
yeah. Um, but he has no idea where his daughter is. So Midu is committed to helping him find his daughter as well. And this section of the movie I really appreciated. Basically, him going around to all of these restaurants of the same name and trying to find the food item
The
that
dumplings,
the
yeah.
dumplings that tasted exactly the same that he had every single day for 15 years.
He just knew it had Blue Dragon in the name because he ate a part of the label by accident.
Yeah.
So he goes to all these different Blue Dragon, like whatever place had Blue Dragon in the name.
Yep. Then this is where he finds out the place and he follows the delivery guy back to the compound where you kind of just find out that like people are just kind of held here because people pay or whatever and they can hold them hostage.
It's like a service almost.
Yeah.
For whoever is the highest bidder, you can pay to have your nemesis or whatever captive there for however long you want.
Yeah.
And they just have these rooms set up just to keep them alive and just keep them there.
Crazy because that's like probably definitely a thing that happens in real life.
I mean, probably. It seems like some weird hostile shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's like also just like human trafficking and shit like that. It's like also the same thing. But so this is where you kind of get the the first person he talks to is like in the camera room and everything, who's like the guy who's heading this whole situation, and you get the torture scene
Yeah.
with the hammer. And the one thing that I fucking loved about this scene is like the close up of the hammer in his mouth and like the guy's tongue just like
When he was licking it?
squirming and licking the hammer in like,
Yeah.
in a panic. I was like, dude, that's incredible.
Well, because it's like when you're at the dentist. Like, it's
Yeah.
realistic because when they always put the dentist tools in your mouth and your tongue always tries to investigate whatever the fuck is in your mouth.
Yeah.
And so that guy's like panicking, but it's like he doesn't even realize the fact that his tongue is trying to figure out what this is.
Yeah. So I loved that shot so much. Then we get the hallway scene.
Yeah, which I love. Every time I see it, I'm just like, yep, here we go.
And I I specifically, my favorite point of it that I love the most is like when he gets into like pretty much like the hand to hand shit.
Yeah.
Like halfway through the scene when he has the knife in his fucking back and he's like still doing the hand to hand shit.
That's
He basically takes care of everyone, and then the elevator opens and then there's 8 more people. And then he goes down, and the elevator door opens, and he killed everyone in the elevator.
Yeah. Which I mean, that's my favorite stuff. Like in the tunnel scene and stuff. After you get stabbed, once people get tired in fight scenes, and it's like there's still 5 more minutes of the fight scene. I love it when it's tired fighting, because it's so fun to me to see how they react to each other when they start fighting. Because you can see it's kind of like he gets like one little hit on somebody and someone goes down and someone's like breathing heavy trying to get another hit on him and they're just like, dude, fucking stop.
That shit matters, man. Like that, like showing like that shit in your choreography and stuff, like that shit matters. Like it really sells how like effective the scene is.
I think it's a lot more interesting than just watching a dude just go in there and just be able to beat the shit out of everybody without getting tired or anything. That's kind of the fun part of this, and that's kind of where I got the John Wick kind of stuff. Because you see some stuff when he's wearing his suit and everything, you do get little John Wick vibes when
Yeah.
he's fighting sometimes, and it's like, because yeah, he gets tired, he's getting the shit beat out of him, and he's still just going.
Yeah. So there's kind of like a lot of there's a lot of plot to the rest of this movie.
Yeah, the exposition stuff is where it starts weighing on me.
So some quick notes. I think I was struggling to find the right word for it, but I thought that the only word that I kind of felt was right, or I was like, okay, I'm cool with using this as explaining it. But so many aspects of this movie are just like very intoxicating to me in the best way possible.
Like overwhelming in a sense.
Not necessarily that, but like it gives me the same feeling like the original Matrix does.
Oh, I gotcha.
In like that sort of sense, if you're kind of picking up on what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I can't find the perfect word for it, but like intoxicating was kind of like the word that I...
Like you feel fully engrossed in it.
Yeah. And just like a lot of the aspects are just hitting like at almost every single point. Let's just do a quick rundown. We find out who has done this to him. And it's not necessarily like who, it's why it happened. And there's a reason why it was 15 years. And he's told, like, basically, it's because he had because he talked too much. And he doesn't remember really why. He asked his friend, like, hey, like, did I talk too much? And he was like, he didn't really answer him, but he was like...
He kind of silently acknowledged, like, yeah, you did talk a lot of shit. Like, you talked a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think he knew exactly what he meant by it either when he was asking his friend. I think his friend was kind of just like, you mean, like, in general? Yeah.
Yeah. But they basically go back. They find out that... Well, also, I will say I really appreciate how the villain of the story... We spend a lot of, like, time with him with the main character. Like, he's very involved. Like, not, like, in a distant way. But, like, he's actually... We're getting a lot of scenes of them interacting with each other in person.
Yeah.
You don't really get that a lot, in my opinion.
He's keeping him on a short leash.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, the I saw the devil thing, where it's like he's always right around the corner just with him.
Yes. And I appreciate that aspect a lot. During this... the girl Midu and Odesu, they practically fall in love with each other. Well, they do fall in love with each other, and they have sexual relations with each other. And you find out that he's been bugged this entire time.
He has I think he has 12 different bugs on him.
Yeah.
Because they start investigating where they're getting him off, and then it shows the villain watching a little screen board of each one getting removed, and it was literally I think 6 dots.
Yes.
One 6 and then 6 another row, and you could just see him going out. So he had a lot of bugs on him.
Yeah. So everything that Odesu is doing in his life is being tracked. Everything. And Odesu and Midu go back to... Well, it was actually only Odesu. They find out... Well, Odesu finds out that they went to the same school together, and that his sister committed suicide because rumors that were spread that she was pregnant. But he talks to a person like, no, she wouldn't do that because of that rumor that she's not that type of person. So, in a scene where...
Yeah, because then he talks to his friend,
Yeah.
and his friend starts saying that she was a slut. And then
Yeah.
the other woman that he talked to that went to the school was like, no, she wasn't a slut.
No, and, like, she wouldn't do something like that in retaliation or as coping with, like, um, we
And that was
get
how his friend died too.
yeah, we got. This is one of my biggest positives about this movie. The actor that they got to play Odesu's younger self is so accurate to the character like I've never seen.
Yeah.
He is like legitimately one for one this character at a younger age from a different actor.
He kills it, and he's only in like 5 minutes total, probably. Maybe a little
He
bit
is
more.
so good. He captures the character so well. And like I legitimately don't think like it doesn't feel like another character at all. And like, sometimes it can feel that way where you have a different younger actor who just doesn't feel necessarily like entirely like that person. But here it
Yeah.
was like, holy shit, this person is legitimately him. He even looks like him too, which is which is crazy.
They did a good job at finding
Yeah.
that. That was a good cast right there.
But so this is where you find out why um, some of the why he got locked up for 15 years and got taken hostage and kidnapped. Um, Back in school, he found out that um, his capturer and his sister were having sexual relations with each other. And he caught them, told people, and the rumor started to spread that she was pregnant with his baby.
Yeah.
Already just like,
And it's just wild because he thinks that he got hypnotized to forget that he had to remember it.
yep, but
Which
he
comes up
didn't.
later, and the villain's just like, no, I didn't
No.
hypnotize you, dude. You just forgot because you didn't care.
The scene where the sexual relations happen between the brother and the sister was so fucking wild because you expect when he's making advances on her that she's gonna like push him off at some point.
Yeah. Like, you fully expect it to be stopped. Or you expect it to be stopped because the other guy would be caught. That he's there. Like, you expected something to stop in some way or another.
Nope.
But it just doesn't.
I mean, she's hesitant at first, like she plays it off, whatever, but then yeah.
And he's, like, taking pictures, too. The brother is.
Yeah. So yeah, we find out that Odesu spread these rumors, which I mean they were true.
And he told that dude, like, as he was moving.
Yeah.
And the dude literally stopped helping him move stuff to go spread the room. He didn't even
No.
wait to
Yeah.
finish helping him. That was the funniest part to me, was he told him
Oh
as
my
they were
god, dude! When that
moving,
happened, I laughed so fucking hard because
he
he's
literally-
just
he just drops it
yeah.
and he's like, oh, and then just walks
Well,
off, and the guy's like,
yeah. There's the other part at the beginning of the movie when they're on the rooftop and he's telling him his story. Then the other character's like, "Now let me tell you my story," and he just gets up and walks away. It's so fucking funny, dude.
and then the guy jumps off the fucking
Yeah.
roof.
Yeah.
It's such a great bit.
Yeah. Dude, I laughed so hard at both of
And he
those
said the
moments.
quote again after the dude jumps off the roof. He's like, you can either laugh or then you weep alone.
Yeah.
It's such black humor.
Yeah.
Like black comedy.
So we kind of like we also get like flashbacks like towards the end of like her suicide. Basically the brother was there when it happened and he was trying to save her, but she basically, lets go. She very much coincides with the belief like that they both really loved each other, like it was like legitimate love. And this is where we kind of figure out what's really going on. And
Yeah. It takes another wild turn.
the brother character, because of how things happened with his sister and the rumors and everything, decides to hypnotize. Well, first, kidnap and hold Odesu prisoner for 15 years. and at a point uses another person to hypnotize him and the girl who was working at the restaurant where he first met and ended up falling in love with. And we find out that it's his daughter
Yeah.
and that he had sexual relations with his daughter. Um, and that was payback.
Just wild fucking movie. This is a wild ending, and which is the only problem I have with the exposition part of this
Mm,
is the whole hypnotizing thing.
yeah.
It just kind of kills it for me how it's like I guess they needed a ace in the hole, so to speak, in the storyline to be like, oh yeah, they have to meet, so we're gonna hypnotize them. But to me, it just feels like such a cop out, from a writing standpoint, where it's like, yeah, they were hypnotized, and that's how they met up at the exact point and all this. It's like,
And then that's how they fell in love with each other. Yeah.
yes, the whole hypnotized thing always just kind of just feels so kind of like a cop out, just from a story perspective, where it just feels like they were like, I don't know, just say they were hypnotized. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
And you kind of get like the thing with like a character where it examines like how rock bottom is rock bottom. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I love this aspect so much. I don't know. I'm listening to an album called "Watch Me Bleed" by this band called Missing Link, and like what on literally the opening line um, of the album is "At rock bottom, there is no bottom," and so I watch Oldboy, and I was like, oh, I'm instantly thinking of that this entire
Yeah.
time. And he is spiraling out of control to find out that he had sex with his daughter. Like any
Yeah, I mean, he goes manic. He basically goes instantly
you
insane,
get the
more insane.
full range of emotions of like I'm gonna fucking kill you, or I'm literally gonna get down on my knees, lick your feet, and I will be your servant. I'll fucking be your dog too. Like I'm gonna wag my fucking tail for you.
Yeah, he just doesn't want him to tell her.
Yep.
He doesn't want her to find out
Yeah.
because he knows that that would be the end of I guess he basically feels like a martyr kind of vibe with it, where he's like, I will take the pain of dealing with this, but she does not need to have the pain of dealing with it or
Yeah.
knowing. And then he gets to the point where he cuts off his own tongue
And it's
because
like
he's like,
totally unprompted too. Like the villain is not saying anything this entire time.
he's laughing the whole
He's
time.
dude,
That's
when
the
it
crazy
cuts to
part.
him and he's just like laughing, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, it's like even worse than the fact that he's laughing because he's just spiraling, and then he cuts out his tongue because he thinks that that's the equalizer, I guess.
That's the solution to hopefully
Because he's like, I talk too much, so I can't talk anymore.
um and he gets on the phone and he tells him don't open her box, which was like the reveal that, that was her father.
Yeah, because
And
she would have had to look at the same photo album, which would have been rough.
um dude goes into the elevator and the villain kills himself. But you get even another. He trolls him even more, and this whole device of saying that, hey, this is what is pulled to stop my heart. Isn't that? He pulls
Yeah,
it.
because he has the Bane's like dead man trigger the whole
Yeah.
time, where he's like, if you try and kill me, I've been protecting Midu the whole time. And if you try and kill me, I'll kill myself. Midu won't be safe anymore. And you'll never get vengeance on me because I have a heart. I have a thing that's monitoring my heart and I can stop it at any point.
Yeah.
And he gives it to him at the end after he's cut out his tongue and everything. And he immediately tries to press the button
And
to
it
stop the
plays the
guy's heart.
fucking audio of them having sex with each other.
Yeah, though that's like the ultimate. That's like the most sadistic thing I've probably ever seen.
It is
Because he's
so
just
evil, man. It is
that's
so
literally like
evil.
the no bottom to rock bottom right there.
Yeah. I legitimately like, and like I said at the beginning, it's like we both like kind of like expected the twist to happen, but that happening, I was like, no fucking way. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, even when I first like watched it, I saw the twist coming from a mile away, but I never saw the dead man trigger thing coming because that's just like another layer of just sick, and it's just like, dude, come on.
Yeah, and the villain shoots himself in the elevator, and like that's the end of his story. Um, but like kind of the resolution to this is um, Odesu asking to be hypnotized again, so
He can forget.
he can forget, and she'll never know. And you get the iconic shot at this point of them embracing, and it's him doing the smile.
Which means he
This
did not forget. That's the way I read it.
well, oh,
Like I
okay, all right. This is interesting because I think he does forget, but it puts him back in the same headspace that he was while he was in prison.
see that's the interesting thing is that there's no correct answer because when he's imprisoned, he's staring at the painting doing the grin.
Yes.
But when he's out in the real world, every time he's about to cry, he does the smile instead.
Mhm.
And that's the way I always read it was because the lady told him before she does the hypnotizing thing, like, it might not work
Yeah.
and it might make things actually worse. It might
Yeah.
amplify all your memories. So then at the end, when she hugs him and she says, I love you, and he immediately starts grinning like that, my brain immediately registers, like, oh shit, he didn't forget. And now he just has to suffer. So, because she doesn't know still, but he can't sit there and break the facade.
I okay. So then like kind of on the way that I view it too is like, all right, let's say hypothetically if my theory is correct, right? I also think if that is correct, it's also putting him in a spot to repeat the same mistake
Yeah.
where she still loves him, doesn't know it's her father, and he's going to end up falling in love with her again.
Yeah. Either way, it's bad.
Yeah, either way, it's fucked.
Yeah.
um,
No good ending, really.
yeah. Um, also, one of the more effective. Well, it's she doesn't understand the significance of it, but one of like the most effective like cuts, in my opinion, in the film is when she's wearing the wings
Yeah.
during the reveal, and she has no idea what their significance is, and it's like I said, like I knew what the twist was, but seeing her wear the wings was still shocking to me, and I was like, holy fuck.
It makes it worse.
Yeah. Um, another like thing I wanted to point out when Ode Sue's friend gets killed with the disc shard. Loved that. That was
Great scene.
that was sick.
That's like one of the only scenes that broke my formula.
Uh
Like while I was watching it,
yeah,
that was one of the
the
only things that actually
villains.
happened where I was like, finally, some
Yeah.
spontaneity happens in here.
The villain overhears Odesu's friend basically saying like, "Yeah, I should have been able to fuck her, the girl who committed suicide, when I had the chance." And he takes out the disc, breaks it, walks over, and just starts stabbing him repeatedly in the throat. So
Yeah.
good. It's so
And then
good.
he sits there and gets on the little headset and he blames Odesu and he's just like, "This is your fault
Yeah,
because you took all your bugs out, and so now I had to come over here and listen to your fucking friend, and now he's dead."
yeah. Um,
It's a great little moment.
yeah. Um, yeah. So I walk away with this movie. I am very positive on it. I think it's like I don't think it's a perfect movie. I definitely don't think it's a perfect movie. But I sit here looking at a lot of the aspects of filmmaking that goes into making a film, and I'm pretty much very high on all of them. Um, the performances are fantastic. I do think, like, obviously, um, what's his name? Um, Choi Min Sik, who plays Odesu. He's in a lot of other great shit, and he's like a phenomenal actor. Everything that he does is so fucking good. He's incredible, but the actor who played the villain was also, in my opinion, utterly fantastic.
I don't think there was one bad performance in
Yeah,
Old Boy. I mean, everyone kind of plays their part.
yeah, for sure. I really appreciate the editing. Direction, in my opinion, is really solid. Um, yeah, there's I'm very high on pretty much all of it. Um, it I don't know necessarily. I'm kind of like thinking like, what does like the future hold for me with this movie? Um,
But like rewatch value?
just future as a whole. Like I'm already like yeah. I'm I wonder when I'll eventually get to it. Is this something that I recommend to people? If they can,
I
like,
guess it depends.
yeah. And there's just like a lot of things I'm like kind of like, there's a lot of unique things I'm thinking about in terms of like how this movie goes forward for me. Um, but I think it's definitely something that on a second watch, I'll probably notice some things I didn't notice the first time. So I'll probably appreciate it a little bit more. Um, but yeah, in my opinion, great fucking movie. Any other thoughts that you had necessarily you wanted to talk about with it?
Good movie. I mean, it's good, and I think I did appreciate it a little bit more on the second time. Not enough to really change my score of it, though, but
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I do appreciate from a technical side of it. I think it's a really well made film.
Yeah, for sure.
Just the story beats and just little narrative choices. There's little things here and there that I don't really like,
Yeah,
but it's a good movie.
yeah. Um, so that's Old Boy, but we're also here to talk about something else. We're talking about our five most anticipated of 2025.
Hell yeah.
Um, this is an interesting thing for me because compared to other years, I feel like there's not a lot that I'm like super excited for. I know there's going to be a lot of great movies. There always is. But I feel like there's not like an abundant list for me that I'm
Yeah.
like clamoring for. I don't know how you feel.
There's probably honestly, there's probably around 5 or 6 off the top of my head that I'm very excited for. Maybe 7. But
Yeah.
that's off the top of my head, that's really it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be other stuff that just pops up, like hidden gems or stuff
that it always happens, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go through yours first. And if one of the films is on mine, I'll make sure we can talk about it, and then I'll cross it off of mine.
Hell yeah. My most anticipated is Mickey 17.
Yes. It's also up top near there for me. And I think
Yeah.
so like this movie was delayed at one point.
Yep.
And one of the people I follow on Letterboxd, who's a musician, basically got a screening to it after it was finished. And in his review, he said, the reason why it was pushed back is all going to make sense, and all I can say is it ended up being a masterpiece.
Cool.
And that's like, okay, perfect. That's all I need to hear going forward. Bong Joon-ho is an incredible director. I'm excited for everything that he's going to make. And I just think this is like super unique and like kind of like a thing that we really haven't seen, and is especially something really unique out of Robert Pattinson at this point.
That's kind of the two things that I love most about it is I love the fact that Robert Pattinson's choices in his roles now, it just feels so from left field. You can never guess what he's going to do, and I love it when actors do that. And same for Bong Joon-ho. I would have never guessed that this would be the type of movie he would make.
Yeah. Because it feels like, trailer-wise, it kind of feels like blockbuster vibe in a way. Like, where it's like more more production value and all that stuff. But I'm not gonna say.
But I loved it when he made Snowpiercer, though.
Yeah.
Like, I like it when he's in his blockbuster sci-fi little mode. So I feel like that's why Mickey 17 is just going to hit so hard.
Yeah, I'm very excited, man.
And Robert Pattinson just looks like he's having a great time.
Yeah, and that's where you really appreciate a guy like Robert Pattinson, where, like, no matter how big he's gotten, he's still just doing, like, good shit.
Yeah,
he's not
just doing what he wants.
He's not doing just fucking slop over and over again because his name is so big.
Yeah. I love it.
Next film for you.
My number 2 is Black Bag by Steven Soderbergh.
Interesting.
Looks incredible.
Yeah, interesting. I'm very
I'm
excited
a
for it.
Soderbergh.
Yeah.
I'm a Soderbergh fan. I'm a diehard Soderbergh fan, and I just love the fact that he's making a spy thriller with Fassbender and Blanchett
Yeah,
as like a
dude.
married
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
hunting each other. I'm all in.
yeah. I'm very much like, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I just feel like because he watched The Killer through every cycle of editing that Fincher did with it. That was his most watched movie that year, and I feel like he just watched that movie so much, and he was just like, "Give me Fassbender. I'll work with Fassbender. I've watched him all year. I have a role for him."
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. As soon as I saw that trailer, I was just like, "That's gonna be one of my favorites of 2025." I already know.
It's awesome too that I mean, kind of Soderbergh has kind of done this more recently, where like he probably might have 2 movies in the same year, or even 3. But it's like we got Presence, and we both liked Presence,
Yep.
and we're getting another film by him in the same year, so that's really exciting.
Yeah, I love him as a director. He's just so efficient and so creative.
Yeah.
My number 3 is actually 28 Years Later,
Yeah.
which I'm really excited for. I was iffy on it when I first heard about it, but then I saw that trailer.
Dude,
One of the best trailers that's come out in the last 5 years.
I legitimately can't fucking believe this trailer, man.
Yeah.
It is like, you're totally right. Easily one of the best trailers of recent memory.
Yeah.
I kind of like, unless I'm being shown it in a theater, I'm kind of more reluctant to go out of my way to watch trailers nowadays. I'm in the theater and I see the trailer. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This movie looks so fucking good, man.
And Aaron Taylor Johnson doing that interview where he came out and said that this is the first time he's been excited about acting in years. And it's like, what is going on this movie that you guys are y'all are just cooking apparently.
Yeah, it's like kind of like one of those things where I was very much in the same boat as you. It's like I don't know necessarily how to feel about them going back into this universe. We also kind of have a lot of zombie survival content at this point. You know what I mean? So it's like, do we really need something else? But everything they're showing us, we're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
My next one would be Final Reckoning, Mission Impossible.
Yes, sir. That's on my list as well.
Die-hard Mission Impossible fan.
I can't remember. Did you like Dead Reckoning?
Yeah, I loved
Okay,
it.
me too. I noticed that movie is a little bit more polarizing compared to the more recent entries.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it kind of just, I guess it suffers from the main issue is that it has a lot of callbacks to the very first Mission Impossible.
Mm-hmm.
With Kittredge and the Dutch angles and kind of like the train and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I just love Christopher McQuarrie's way of directing and how he functions as a proxy for Tom Cruise. They both just work so well together, and he's able to cross cut and keep these movies on rails while Tom Cruise is doing everything he can to take them off the rails. But it's kind of like they both rein each other in a little bit. It's like you need to go a little bit more outward and you need to come a little bit more inward.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they do with it. And plus I heard that Final Reckoning might be like as long as Oppenheimer. So it's one of those things where I'm like, 3-hour Mission Impossible movie?
Dude,
I'm in.
The action sequences, like, don't get me wrong. Both Fallout and Rogue Nation had incredible action scenes. But like Dead Reckoning's action scenes were like so invigorating. It was insane.
And I think it's incredible too, because I think a lot of people's problem with Dead Reckoning was that they didn't appreciate it as much with the action scenes. Like him doing the cliff jump, people were just like, yeah, he jumped off a cliff and then he started skydiving. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, no, he actually like jumped off a cliff and he went into a base jump, where a rogue wind could take him like into the mountain next to him, and then he also did like a speed wing. Like there's a lot of stuff that he's doing and people don't really consider how actually difficult it is.
Yeah, we're both excited for that, man. Let's fucking get that shit here now.
My fifth one is probably one that most people probably wouldn't be excited for, but I'm really excited for it. the new Jason Statham movie, A Working Man.
I don't think I've seen a trailer for it or anything.
Well, it's made by David Ayer because he just made The Beekeeper with Jason Statham,
Yeah.
and it looks like he made another action movie with Jason Statham.
Okay.
And it's literally about same thing. Jason Statham goes after, it's like Wrath of Man style. Someone kidnaps some girl that he knows who works with his bosses, and he starts killing human traffickers. And it's like, all right, I'm in.
Okay. Okay. Big time.
I love action movies, so I'm just like, cool, Jason Statham movie, let's go.
Dude, I still need to see Wrath of Man.
Dude, Wrath of Man is so slept on.
I know.
That is probably my favorite Guy Ritchie movie after A Game of Shadows.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely need to watch Wrath of Man. You would love it.
Yeah. I know, and it's like I just haven't gotten around to it, and it pisses me off. But that's just my own fault. So going on to, because there was two on your list that were from mine, I'm gonna add in like an honorable mention. So I'll start off with that one. I'm very intrigued by Sinners,
Yes.
the Ryan Coogler vampire movie.
Another great trailer.
Incredible trailer.
All shot in 70mm IMAX.
I am really intrigued. As it gets closer and closer to the release date, my excitement gets bigger and bigger. I think this movie has insane potential to be great.
It's like vampires, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Southern vampires, like, in this time, what are we doing? Like, that shit's awesome.
And Coogler's finally out of the Marvel machine.
Fucking thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
I really hope this movie is like, dude, give me ultra violence too. Like, I would love for this movie to be like everything that makes vampire movies great in different aspects. Like, okay, you can give me gore and shape, but you can also give me the sexiness of, and like eroticism of,
Like, if you're giving me 30 Days of Night in the South,
oh yeah,
Michael B. Jordan playing twins,
yeah,
and he has like Tommy guns and
Yeah.
BARs, and he's smoking. It's like, sounds badass.
But into the other ones that I'm really excited for, right around the corner, The Monkey. I'm very excited for The Monkey. It's just, I'm just excited for whatever Osgood Perkins is just doing nowadays.
It looks like a horror comedy too.
Yeah, and dude, some of the marketing that Neon has been doing for this movie is so fucking cool.
The tagline is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Where it's like everyone dies and that's fucked up.
Yeah. Dude, they did 2 billboards. I can't remember. I think it was in LA, where like one of them it says Jesus saves, and then the other one says the monkey kills.
That's incredible.
On 2 different sides of the street.
Oh.
And then they released I've never seen this before Neon did it, but they released like the document of like the rating sheet, like for like official age ratings. And, like,
the MPAA?
Yeah, and they released all of like the notes on like why it was rated R and everything.
Damn.
But they blacked out some stuff like to prevent from like spoilers or whatever. But like, dude, seeing that for the first time, like, dude, this is brilliant marketing on Neon's
That's
part.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, I am excited for The Monkey. I'm glad that was a good call
Yeah.
out. I forgot about that one.
And Stephen King also said, he's like, dude, this is one of the most batshit things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, yeah.
I'm in.
We got Eddington, Ari Aster's next movie. And
Is that coming out this year?
it is. There was reports today that they're looking for a summer release.
Oh, cool. I did not know that.
Yes.
Is this the Western?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, very excited for this. Then the other big one. This is like, I wouldn't say this is probably not up there necessarily for a lot of other people, but it is for me because You Were Never Really Here is one of my favorite movies of all time, and Lynn Ramsey's next movie, Die My Love.
Isn't Robert Pattinson in that too?
Let me see real quick. I think he is. Robert Pattinson, Jennifer Lawrence, Lakeith Stanfield, Sissy Spacek. Yeah.
What a cast.
Yeah.
You got Lakeith in there?
Yeah. A woman living in a remote rural area is driven to the brink of insanity by marriage and motherhood.
Man, are they about to make Jennifer Lawrence go manic again?
I hope so. Mother
About to get married
rocks.
once.
Mother rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
gonna be a good one.
like this is rumored to come out this year. More details are coming out. I think it probably does end up getting released this year. Um, so yeah, I'm super fucking excited for that. Um, then I am also kind of we have the next Knives Out movie,
Yeah,
Wake Up Dead
and the
Man.
next Avatar,
Um, this one's supposed to be a little bit more darker, and
and in black and white.
when I found out that it was going to be a little bit more darker, I got even more excited for it.
Yeah.
Um, then I'm going to throw out one more, and that is I'm more intrigued by this. Well, because it is a Netflix movie, so there's always a possibility it doesn't turn out to be as great as one could imagine. But Guillermo's Frankenstein,
Oh, is that Netflix? I didn't know that was a Netflix movie.
yes,
I trust Guillermo
yeah,
though.
yeah, no, totally. But I just I can't escape the little feeling of Netflix in the back of my head. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because isn't Wake Up Dead Man also going to be Netflix?
Yeah,
Because they still own the
yeah,
Knives Out property,
yeah.
which so stupid.
Um, but I'm a huge fan of Jacob Elordi. Um, and I'm really excited to see what he does for this movie, man. Um, but yeah, those are my most anticipated of 2025.
Hell yeah.
Um, what movie are we doing next time, sir?
Um, that's a good question.
You can also you don't have to say it now, but um,
I just need to go to your list real quick.
think about bringing on a guest of your choosing for this next one.
Oh, I will. You have so many lists. Here we go. I have to go through all your lists on Letterboxd every time.
I know.
Oh, I feel like there was a movie on here that I wanted to watch last time I looked at it. And now I can't remember it.
Are you a fan of A Ghost Story?
Yeah,
I just rewatched A Ghost Story the other day. That was great. Great
it's a
rewatch.
banger. Another movie that people sleep on.
Big time.
I love me the 5 minute pie eating scene.
I think it's closer to 8.
Yeah, I think it is actually. It's so good though.
It is. Um,
What the fuck is crawl space? Bro, what? I want to watch Crawl Space.
where's this at? Is it?
It's a 1986 film. It sounds wild. A man who runs an apartment house for women is the demented son of a Nazi surgeon who has the house equipped with secret passageways, hidden rooms, and torture and murder devices.
Well, 1 second.
I've never heard
Is
of
it
this.
all one word?
Yeah.
There it is. 86. Wait. What year is it?
Actually, I might not want to do that one. Hold on. Let's back that one up real quick.
That's on the list.
Yeah, Crawl Space. But I think I'm changing my mind though. I'm looking at something else.
It's always interesting. There's a lot of these disturbing films Sean Baker has seen.
Ah.
So because I follow him, and so I'll go look at these films, and he'll logged it as he's seen it, but he doesn't give ratings. But it's funny that just seeing a filmmaker that's seen a lot of these movies.
I think I'm gonna switch it to Hunger because you haven't seen Hunger.
Oh,
And I love that movie. I think
I
that's
am
Steve McQueen's
so
best.
fucking in. Um,
That that's definitely Steve McQueen's best movie, and I think it does. It's disturbing in a different way,
yes.
if you know.
Um,
And I think it fits the climate well.
fuck yeah, man. So we will be covering Steve McQueen's Hunger, 2008, starring Michael Fassbender. Addison will bring on a guest. Um, yeah, so we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you guys as always for listening and watching. Peace.
Peace.